Okay, I want to take a moment and walk you through how to do the Melonhead assignment, our very first assignment in GIMP. First thing you want to do is open GIMP, download the file Melonhead from the class folder. When you do that, you got to open it up, look for melonhead.xcf. XCF folders we can trade back and forth, but you can't hand them in because I can't see what's in them. We'll discuss how to hand things in at the very end. Well, again, go ahead and open up Melonhead. That's going to be our very first one. So we have everything here. We have all these different fruits available to us. And we're going to make a face over here on the right-hand side. First thing we want to do is build the eye. Actually, the first thing we want to do is make sure that we can't break this file. So over on the side here, we're going to right-click on our one layer that's here. It's called Melonhead Start. We're going to choose Duplicate Layer. The new layer we're going to rename Work. This is where all of our work is going to happen. I'll go back down to Melonhead Start, and we have three different locks available to us. The alpha channel, position, and pixels. These are raster documents, which means they work with pixels, not lines or vectors. So we want to go ahead and lock the pixels, so this file down here we can't break even if we wanted to. Then we're going to make it invisible by clicking on the little eyeball here. Now we'll go to our work layer. Now we're ready to get started. First thing you're going to do is give our melon eyes. So we want to actually click plus and zoom in up toward the top left-hand corner. Over to the toolbar up top here, we want to choose our second tool in from the top left, and that's the Ellipse Select tool. We want to draw a kind of a circle around the blueberry. As you see, it doesn't have to be exact. We can use sizing handles in the corners to resize it and get it to be exactly where we need it to be. You can hold down Control to try and keep it circular, but you don't necessarily have to. Those sizing handles will help you out. So we've got that selected. We're going to choose Copy or Control C. Then we're going to go ahead and paste it in by pressing Control V. Doesn't look like much happened on here, but if you look over the Layers panel, you see we have a floating selection. That's a pasted layer. We're going to right-click on this layer over here that's in italics. But that's not a real layer yet. We need it to be a real layer. So we want to right-click on it and choose To New Layer. Okay, we got it. Over here on the toolbar on the left-hand side, we want to choose the 4-point arrow. That's our Move command. And we want to move the blueberry that we just pasted over on top of the carrot slice. We are again going to go to our Ellipse tool, click and drag it so it surrounds the carrot. Now we need to copy two things here, the blueberry and the carrot. And they're on two separate layers, which makes it a little tricky. So what we have to do is go under Edit and choose Copy Visible. They're both copied now. Now we can press Control V, and floating selection is on there again. We'll make that in its own layer. This time we're going to merge down, so we only have one pasted layer. If we move that pasted layer, you'll see we have both a carrot and the blueberry on there, which means we can go ahead and rename it. Double click, rename it Eye. Go ahead and keep moving it over. Place it on the melon. Then we'll duplicate the eye layer. Go to our move arrow again. Put it in there. Now we've got two eye layers. We don't need two eye layers. So we want to right click on eye copy and choose merge down. That'll press on both those two top layers into one layer. And we can rename our top layer from eye to eyes because it's now plural. We'll go back down to the work layer, and next we're going to work with the nose. The nose is this little yellow pear type thing up here. To choose that, we want to use a tool called Fuzzy Select, which is probably the most useful tool we have in GIMP. That's a little magic wand here with a star on the end. I'm going to be sure it's replace selection. Threshold at 32, that's the range it's going to select. 32 is usually enough. So we'll click somewhere on this little melon to start out with. Then we want to click and hold our Shift key to add it to the selection. Because the area here that the bright glare didn't select, this slightly darker area here didn't select. Now we've got enough of it. So we can copy it, paste it. Again, it's going to be a floating layer, which we're going to make a new layer and then rename it Nose. We can now move that over onto the melon, but this one has a bit of a problem. It really blends in with the melon. In order to make it a little more visible, we want to add a little thin outline around it. To do that, we again need to use our fuzzy select tool to select the melon. And then we're going to go up top under Edit and choose Stroke Selection. It says the 3-point stroke, which might be a little much. I'm going to take it down to 2. And we got it. Shift-Control-A will get rid of your last selection. That's now done. Now we can move on to the mouth. The mouth is going to be the kiwi slice. And we're going to select that by using the little lasso tool up here, the toolbar. It looks like a little rope up top there. That's called Free Select, and we want to click and hold down our mouse button and trace as close to the outside of the kiwi as possible. This is very tricky. I'm not expecting any perfection whatsoever in this because this is pretty hard to do. When you see that little yellow dot, you know you're complete and you can release. Make sure you're on the work layer. Then you can press Control-C to copy it, Control-V to paste it in. Again, it's a floating layer, which will make a new layer. We'll go ahead and rename that mouth. There's only one of them on there. And we'll move the mouth right onto the melon. Next thing we're going to do is the hat. So we'll again go back down to the work layer and we'll take a close look at the mushroom here. To select this, we want to use the scissors tool. Looks like a pair of scissors on there. This tool will try to find the edge of whatever you're trying to select, which makes things a little easy. So select that. Then click around the edge of the mushroom. You see that it automatically drop in a line to try and find the edge. Really nice. All the way to here, down over there, got the bottom. Pretty much just click on the edge. It'll do the rest and find the edges for you. Once you're done, press Enter. And it should go ahead and get this, or double click and then press Enter. It should get the selection made for you. See if I messed up that first time. Let's see if I can finish it this way. Oh, I know my problem. I was in the wrong tool there. You always want to be on mode on the little tool options here. You want to be sure you're on replace the current selection. That will make sure that it actually does select what you want to select. So that's done. We'll press Control-C, Control-V. Copy it and put it to its own layer, which we'll name Hat. Now we'll use our move arrow, bring the hat to the top of the melon's head. Okay, after the hat, we're next going to give him eyebrows. So we'll go back down to the work layer. We want to start out by selecting our rectangular marquee, which is right there. And we're going to draw a square around the radishes there. You might say you've got way too much here, this is not going to work. But we can not only add to a selection by holding Shift key like we did before. If we hold down the Control key, we can remove from a selection. So we want to grab Fuzzy Select, hold down Control, you see you get a little minus sign next to the selection there. We click on that white area that we have all around the radish, it goes away. We just have the radish selected. Makes our life very, very easy. Again, copy and paste it in. It makes a floating layer, which will make a new layer. Bring it on over, right over the right eye. we need to rotate this into position. If we look after the crop tool, you see we have transformation tool, rotate, scale, etc. It's easy to just use rotate for this one because all we got to do is turn it to a little degree there. Move it in position. We have one there. We'll go ahead and duplicate this layer because we need a second eyebrow. We move it in position. You're going to say, I see a major problem. This will never work. Here's how we solve it. We're going to go up to the menu bar to Tools, then Transform Tools, and choose Flip. Click on our eyebrow, and it's in position. All we got to do is move it over a little so it looks right, and we're all set. Last thing to do for this part is going to be to merge down, rename it to Eyebrows. If you're picky and want it above the eyes, that's fine. All you gotta do is click and drag the layer so it moves above the eye layer. Makes things pretty easy. Okay, then I'll pick this up in part number 2. Okay, delay this part of it. I'll pick up. Now, the last part we have to do actually on the melon is the ears and then the bow tie. Ears are actually pretty easy. They're going to use this little fruit slice. Looks like a grapefruit slice right there. Easiest way to do it, looking at it, is probably going to be using the scissors tool. So we'll do that. Make sure we're on the work layer. And again, click our way around it. Make it nice and easy. Press enter. We have our selection done. Do Control C, Control V, and again it puts it on a floating layer, which will right click and choose to new layer. Use our move command to bring it on over. Our rotate command to rotate it so it looks like it'll go on the head. You can choose rotate on the little window that pops up here to close that, and then we'll move it into position. Having done that, well, once as we did with the eyebrow, we will again duplicate the layer. Go to Tools, Transform Tools, Flip. Flip that one and move it into position. Last thing to do is going to be to merge down, and we're all set there. We can rename it Ears. Okay, and the bow tie remains our last thing. The bow tie pretty much at this point, because of what you've used all the different selection tools, you can use whatever selection tool you want to on this one. I find personally it easiest to go with the rectangular marquee and then use the fuzzy select to take out what I don't want. That'll work. New layer, and then move it in position way down here. At this point, pretty much the basic structure is done. Now it's a lot of cleanup work, decorating it, making it look a little better. Well, we'll go back to the work layer. What we want to do now is just to get the melon head. We don't want all that stuff over there to the left-hand side. So what we'll do is these two interlocking right angles. We'll choose that. That is our crop tool. I want to crop down to just what's on the right-hand side. So we'll select that with the crop tool, press enter, and we're down to just the melon head. The next thing to do is to add a background. This is optional. I recommend you try it though just to see your options. So we want to go on our work layer. We're going to select we're going to go to the fuzzy select tool. That's going to select everything outside the melon. And we're going to go to edit. We're going to choose fill with pattern. So fuzzy select the whole outside area, edit, fill with pattern. The second tab in here toward the top right, you'll see lots of patterns available. I'm going to choose this pattern right here, edit, fill with pattern. Cool, I like it. You've got all the options out here. All you got to do is select one of them, go to edit, fill with pattern, it'll drop it in there. So we're all set with that. Okay. Shift Control A to get rid of the selection. One last thing to do is to go ahead and name it. So to name it, we want to go to that capital A right here, our text tool. We also want white as our foreground color. Just make things a little easier. White is going to be the text color, so I'll go ahead and draw a text box down here at the bottom. I'll name it Mr. Donnelly's Melonhead. I'm going to select the text, because right now it's 62. I think I can make it a little smaller, have it fit on one line. There, got it. Okay, and we got that all set. View. And we're pretty much all done. There's our Melonhead. What we do next, move that a little bit toward the center, and now I'm done. Now to hand it in is a little bit tricky because the default file type, as you see, if you go to save it, it's going to save as an XCF file. XCF is the file type native to GIMP, but I can't see it on Classroom. So what you want to do is go to File, Export. Well, first off, definitely save it. Save it to your drive, so if anything happens, you have the file and you can't mess it up. Go to File, Export. You want to make sure it's exported as a PNG. PNG is an image file. You can't edit it anymore, but I can see it on Classroom, so that's what you want to hand in to edit. So you hand in the PNG file, and then this assignment's all set. From this point, though, you want to go back and open up that original Melonhead file or re-download it if you need to, and you want to make one that's wide open. Pretty much you choose what it's going to be. I call it the free Melonhead, but this one, you choose it, you make it the way you want to, not based on what you're seeing here. And that's how we do the Melonhead.